Hey folks, Eric Prairie, Focus Fishing Guide Service. Got another video fishing report for you for Table Rock Lake. It is Tuesday, August the 8th. Been on the water every day except for Sunday this past week. We got rained out on Sunday. A pretty substantial rain, almost 3 inches up in Springfield, more to the north, about an inch and a half down here. So pretty good rain this past week. As far as our lake level is concerned, we did bump back up again. We had gotten below normal pool, I'd say last Wednesday and Thursday, and now we're back up over 917. I think it's 917.06, which is just barely above normal summer pool. And looks like the Corps is going to run some water, try to maintain that level as best they can. Still got some water coming in from the rain. Like I said, pretty substantial rain, so did get some rain come in this past weekend. Water temperature is a bigger story. Water temperatures all the way back down to the lower 80s. 81.7 is what I just saw here at Baxter when I put the boat on the trailer. And that seems to be pretty consistent throughout the lake. Low to mid 80s. You get a sunny day, it might warm up a little bit more if the water's got more color to it. But we're still looking at low to mid 80s. Water clarity, not really cleared up a bunch. Still got a pretty good stain throughout the lake, probably 2 to 3 foot of visibility in the dam area, 2 to 3 foot of visibility here. A little bit clearer as you get up above the Kings River on the white, but for the most part you're looking at about 1 foot of visibility to 2 foot of visibility all over the lake. Some areas have a little bit clearer, maybe 3 to 4, some areas even 6 foot of visibility, but not your normal table rock clear that we're used to. But as far as the fishing is concerned, it has gotten a little bit tougher. They're not in a good summer pattern. They had just started to move into that summer pattern. We got this rain, it cooled the water temperature off. We got cooler temperatures, which are great for fishing, but it has made the fishing a little bit tougher the last week or so. But if you guys are coming down, so you're going to fish the lower end of the lake, still got a couple of solid bites going on down there. Our best bite by far, first thing in the morning, is throwing a swim bait. Kitech 2.8, Sexy Shad, Sight Flash. Either of those colors are working really good, especially around bigger boat docks or around some of the standing timber. Anywhere you're seeing fish schooling or chasing shad's a good idea to throw it around there. Been doing well with the Jewel Swim Gem as my head, 1/4 ounce, or if I want to downsize a little bit, I've been using the Squirrel Head in a 3/16 ounce, just so it doesn't sink quite as fast. And the Squirrel Head has a really good hook on it for a smaller swim bait too. But catching a lot of fish around boat docks, kind of a mixed bag. Some Kentucky, some largemouth, every once in a while a smallmouth mixed in as well. Once the sun comes up, we're pretty much going out and drop shotting. And drop shotting both live bait and artificial. If you want to throw artificial, doing well with the shad-shaped worm, doing well with the Yamamoto cut tail, and doing well with the Chompers drop shot worm. All those worms are working pretty good if you want to use artificial. Night crawlers are working. Most of the guides, if you hire a guide right now, probably going to be fishing night crawlers unless you specify you don't want to. But a lot of fish coming on night crawlers. Most of the fish are still on those gravel runouts. They have moved out a little bit deeper, anywhere from 18 to about 25, even 28 foot deep. The suspended bite has gotten tough, or it's never really turned on. We're not really catching as many fish suspended around standing timber or out off of the boat docks like we normally do this time of year. Most of them are pretty scattered out on those long gravel points or on those gravel flats and gravel humps, anywhere from, again, 18 to about 25, 27 foot deep. A little bit deeper if you have a sunny day. If you have a cloudy day like we have today, they'll stay up in that 20 foot range. Seems to be kind of the magic number. 20, 22 seem to be where we caught them today. Go up into the mid-lake around Kimberling City, and you've got the same bites going on. There's a good swim bait bite, especially around bigger docks. First thing in the morning, you'll see a lot of fish chasing shad. Around standing timber, you'll catch some on a Kitech 2.8 as well. Again, matching it up with the Swim Gem, matching it up with the Squirrel Head, whatever you want, however you want it to fall. Best way to fish that is to throw it beyond the schooling fish, count it down depending on how deep you're seeing them on your graph. Bait will fall about 2 feet per second, and then just reel it in slow. You've got to reel it slow. Most of the people I get, the first 2 or 3 times they cast, they're reeling it too fast, and I have to correct them. And you want to reel it slow. The slower the better, and every once in a while pause it. Most of our baits are most of the bites are happening when you pause that bait. Drop shot rig is working in the Kimberling City area as well. Artificial bait, you're going to want to use either a shad-shaped worm, cut-tail worm, or a Chomper's drop shot worm, or a UV worm. All those worms are working on the drop shot. Again, most of them are out on those gravel runouts and gravel points or even gravel humps out there offshore a little ways, but not real deep. 18, 24, 28, 30 feet deep. I really haven't caught much deeper than 30 feet deep all summer long. But working the bottom over, usually if you catch one, you'll have 2 or 3 follow it to the boat, but there's not the great big schools of fish out there like we normally see this time of year, so you are going to have to work for them a little bit harder. Live bait's working on the drop shot as well in the Kimberling City area. And then a jig. Did catch a few on a jig late last week in the Kimberling City area, especially on transition areas where it goes from gravel to rock, rock to gravel. Not a lot of numbers, but some better quality on a jig. It seemed like Kimberling City area was best for that. And Jewel Pro Spider jig, 7/16 ounce was a little bit better because I was fishing out to about 18, 20 feet deep to get bit. Can feel that heavier weight on the bottom. Throwing that with a Zoom Speed Craw as my trailer. Okeechobee Blue was a good color. Green Pumpkin Candy is a good color. So there are some fish being caught on jigs in the Kimberling City area as well. Go up into the James, and the big worm bite is the deal up there. Big worm is probably my number. If I were to fish the James, I'd go throw a big worm quite a bit. 10-inch, 12-inch worm. Fish in brush piles. Seems like there's a lot of fish in brush piles up the James, especially on those saddle areas between the islands and the main lake. Seem to catch a lot of fish. You can find those brush piles 10 to 15 foot deep. There's a lot of fish in those brush piles, but you do have to fish it slow and you have to fish it very methodically. Working it over the limbs, letting it fall to the bottom, bringing it back over the next limb, let it fall to the bottom. Work it slow, use heavier line, at least 15 pound. I've been throwing a lot of 20-pound fluorocarbon up there just because those fish will get tangled up in those brush piles and they're harder to get out. So doing well with the big worm on heavier line, Texas rigging it and working it through. Color-wise, I've been using Green Pumpkin quite a bit. I've been using Red Shad quite a bit and Red Bug. I don't know that color makes that big of a difference, but we have been catching quite a few. It's just the size of the worm is making the biggest difference. A few jig fish up there too, mostly on those channel swing and transition type areas. Again, throwing the Jewel Pro Spider jig, 7/16, fishing it from about 10 to about 20 feet deep. Seems like that bites a little bit better in the creeks, like around Ants Creek or Woolly, or some of the other creeks further upstream. Seem like we're catching some fish on those transition areas on a jig. It's Pro Spider jig. Okeechobee Blue was really good up there last week, and so was Table Rock Secret. Both matched up with a Speed Craw. The Speed Craw has really been key up there. And then a few on a square bill. Not a ton of fish on a square bill, but I have been catching a few on a square bill up there as well. Throwing the RC 3.5 and 2.5. Mostly around cover, laydowns, bushes, that sort of thing, and making sure I bang that bait off of the cover. A lot of them in the backs of the creeks. You know, you get to the backs of the creeks with the lake at 917, and you'll have a lot of laydowns in the water, and you can really work that square bill in and around those laydowns and pick up some fish back in there. White River, where I am today, it's still good. It's still good. We're catching fish up here. Swim bite was awful disappointing this morning. I think we had 2 or 3 bites on it, but never really connected with the fish. It's kind of an odd morning. A lot of cloud cover, a lot of wind, which usually bodes well for the swim bait bite, but we really didn't stick a lot of fish on the swim bait. Actually, I don't think we caught a single one. We had some bites, but never caught one on the swim bait. But the swim bait bite has been pretty strong up here. I'm in the Baxter areas where we fished all day today. Had a few bites on it, but didn't really knock them dead on it. Never boated a fish. But the swim bait's been strong, 2.8 Kitech, 1/4 ounce swim gem, or the 3/16 ounce squirrel head. Both have been really strong heads on that, and I'm starting to lean more towards that squirrel head just because it really has a good hook on it. And when you get those fish that are kind of hitting it and swimming at you, that smaller diameter hook, that lighter wire hook, has made a big difference in hooking up with those fish and getting them in the boat. Whereas that swim gem has a little bit heavier hook, and you have a little bit harder time penetrating, especially on light line. Drop shot rig's working up here as well. I'm catching a lot of fish on the shad-shaped worm, a lot of fish on the cut-tail worm, a lot of fish on a UV finesse worm, and quite a few fish on the Chomper's drop shot worm too. And again, we're just fishing that thing on the bottom, out there on those gravel runouts, anywhere from 18 to about 25, 30 feet deep. Most of the fish are going to be glued to the bottom. You'll see them come up, you'll hit it, you'll hook them. You might have 2 or 3 fish follow it up, but they really seem to be scattered up here. I think the amount of current and the cooler water has got them scattered. We are catching a few on a jig too. A few fish on a shaky head too. Mostly on transition areas, rock to gravel. Seems like that bite's a little bit better up around the shell knob area. Jewel Pro spider jig 5/16 has been really strong, anywhere from about 10 to about 20 feet deep. Squirrel head 1/4 ounce matched up with a speed craw has been really good, or finesse worm's been really good. A lot of fish on a speed craw, a lot of fish on a jig in those transition areas. Again, 10, 15, even 20 feet deep. Seem to be mostly smallmouth. It seems like since this water's cooled down, especially up here, those smallmouth have moved back to the bank, and we started catching them a lot more regularly up here in the White River. Guys, it is the second week of August, and it's like 70 degrees. What the heck happened? I mean, the weather's freaking awesome as far as for fishing. Has slowed the bite down a little bit, but the weather's been awesome. Looking at the 10-day forecast, they're not calling for a lot more hot weather. So, I mean, it's a good time to go out fishing. And we're catching quite a few fish. So, if you guys are coming down, great time to come down and learn how to fish deep. Really starting to see more and more fish show up on those gravel flats. Starting to see a few show up out in the trees. I think that bite will get better when it warms back up a little bit. Learn how to fish a jig. Great time to come down and learn how to fish a jig or a shaky head. Catching a lot of fish doing that. But if you guys are coming down, thinking about hiring a guide, give me a call. It's Focus Fishing Guide Service. You can reach me at 417-860-4743. Hit my website, focusfishing.com. Shoot me an email or book online. Either way, I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Really, guys, if you want to come down, you want to catch some fish, you've got a lot of open dates coming up towards the end of August, a lot of open dates in September and October. Prime time to come down here and fish. So give me a call. We'll go fishing. We'll have a good time. Can't wait to hear from you. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the water.